I saw this thing from PlayStation Access. It's a very popular channel. I've never watched any of their stuff before. It is called 7 Problems Only Gamers Over 30 Will Understand. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm nearing 40 years old, so I should qualify and agree with most of what's said here. I'm gonna see if I agree with this guy.
You've caught me doing one of my favourite things, sort of just staring off into the middle distance, thinking about everything and nothing in particular, and you know.
What are you doing in here? That's what I get asked, sitting on the bed in my pants, staring out the window at 10:37 a.m. on a Sunday morning. What are you doing?
In the game, right?
And that's the thing, right? I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting my brain have a little screensaver moment, enjoying the white noise of jumbled thoughts I'm not quite tuned into, all while the realization of what I should be doing bangs on the door of my subconscious with increasing fervor.
All right, so what he's saying is he's finding either he's going to do one of two things, okay? He's either saying that he's finding ways to give himself a break because he has to think so much in his life, right? So he's giving his brain a break, or two, games are getting just so pretty that you just want to stare at them all day. It's one of the two, right? Like, it's one of the two. It's got to be one of the two.
Robert, what are you doing in here? You're supposed to be using the start of the video to talk about the notification bell and to ask people to turn all notifications on in a way that fits naturally with the intro and doesn't feel forced.
What is that? Does he do this in all his videos?
Here are 7 problems only gamers over 30 will understand.
Video games, for me,
Oh, man,
are
I
like
love the
the
beach in that
ultimate
game.
add-on to the euphoria of doing nothing. You know, if I can do nothing but in HDR and with beautiful 4K
This
water
is just
graphics,
him.
complex characters and explosive set pieces, then I consider that to be the absolute pinnacle of what you can fill your nothing with.
The philosopher Bertrand Russell once said, "Time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time."
Depends.
And I absolutely agree, not just because it sounds clever.
But also because
Time you waste doing nothing, if you don't enjoy doing nothing, is definitely wasted time, right? So if you do not actually enjoy doing nothing like this guy does, you're like me and you actually want to be, maybe not productive, but you actually want to be doing something. It doesn't have to be something with a point, but you want to be doing something. You want to challenge yourself. Then I would say I disagree with him on his takes.
what are we living
far.
for or working towards, if not to simply enjoy ourselves? Well, since turning 30 all those years ago, my brain would argue quite a bit, actually, like you should own a house and have 2 children and thousands of pounds of savings and a side hustle where you earn loads of money, blah, 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 blah.
Shut up, brain! What I should have is the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Platinum Trophy, which
Oh,
I
man,
won't
trophy hunting.
get if you keep on going on.
Look, that's unhelpful as well. This creeping FOMO that I get now whenever I play video games, like some kind of self-imposed peer pressure, is something I've had to battle with increasing regularity the older I get. And it's difficult to articulate.
That scene and the Jeep bike scene in the original Final Fantasy VII hit so hard, but when I saw it in the remake, I just got so giddy. You know, like I was like, oh, it's the scene. You know, like I was so excited for that scene in the remake. It's too bad. I think is it too early? Is it too soon to have spoilers for this game?
Like small toxic waves of unpleasantness lapping away at my stomach whenever I have the audacity to be doing something I enjoy. Because I never used to get this feeling as a child or even as a young adult. You know, my brain was like, of course you're going to play 10 hours of Oblivion and fritter your student loan money on takeaway. Go you! But now, if it sees me floating about taking pictures of nice water graphics in No Man's Sky, it sees fit to remind me of all the productive things I should be doing instead.
Productive is now a banned word, okay? Everyone needs to stop being productive and start being, well, just being, you know, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, playing games.
As long as you're at
is
least
good
30, though, right?
and
Like, you have to
fine.
be at least 30 in order to do nothing.
Yes, playing games is good and fine. But surprise, if you're over 30, you're probably terrible at them now. Sorry about
Not
that.
true.
Or at least a lot worse than you used to be as a child.
Case in point for me, Crash Team Racing. As a child, I flew around this game, dashing past Oxide's ghost times like some kind of ultimate sacred fire-wielding Lewis Hamilton. Now, at nearly 40 years of age, I feel like my mind is as sharp as ever.
Power slide, boost, 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 hold the ultimate sacred fire, power slide out of the turn, boost.
But my thumbs, doing their very best impression of John Travolta in that Pulp Fiction Where Am I meme, simply cannot keep up.
Yeah, okay, so this is a problem that a lot of adults have. They give up the things that they like, and they get worse at them for not doing them. So if you keep doing something, you stay good at it, and sometimes you get even better at it through practice. The whole point he's trying to make is that as you get older, you just get slower. And you do to a degree, but you don't get, like, drastically slower. Not most people. Most people, they just get slower because they don't do the games anymore. Like they give up on the things that they enjoy so that they can do the things that they need to do, or so that they can do the things that other people want them to do. We can say it that way. And then they don't do those things anymore, or they don't do them as often, and then they lose the skills that they had built up. And a lot of your skills when it comes to video games are like muscle memory. Kart racing games, you're going to be bad at them if you're not used to pressing the buttons in a certain way. Like, you're going to be bad at them. You just have to practice. That's all. You just have to practice.
Come on!
We're trying!
Oh my god.
I still haven't reached
he
the
has a
point
skip
where
for
my
everything,
daughter
man.
can beat me at CTR, but I can feel it coming. She beat me at Noughts and Crosses the other day, right after I'd given her a big speech about how it's literally impossible to lose a game of Noughts and Crosses unless you're an actual
You know, I've never
idiot.
played this game, I
You
don't think.
can't blame us for that one.
The next problem on our list, I feel, is specific to people in their 30s. The decade of your life where you're still young enough for people in their 20s to invite you to things.
But
don't have
old
a drink.
enough that you really can't be bothered to say yes to any of them.
Got plans this weekend? You might be asked by a well-meaning work colleague. Want to go into town? To the music gig? And for a picnic in the park?
That's the kind of thing you like doing, isn't it? Young people, a picnic. I mean, grow up. I'll be in my bedroom playing video games.
Now
Thank
this,
you very much.
This I agree
It's a
with.
dilemma because you...
This is where I have to agree with him. This is the first thing I've agreed with him on. When you become an adult and you get older and people tell you to go and do other stuff, you can say no for the most part. They aren't your boss. They're not the people who tell you what you have to do. But usually when your friends and stuff say, hey, you want to go out and hang out at this place? You can say no. You can say, I'd rather play Valheim. You can say, I'd rather go to the movies. I'd rather watch that Marvel movie. I would rather, I don't know, play my PlayStation 2 and relive the good old days where I had like lots of friends and actually played these games and didn't want to go to pool parties. And I'm just trying to make something up. I never really had that many real life friends. Let's just be honest.
don't want to be rude or get to the point where no one bothers inviting you to stuff anymore. And yes, it is important to make time for friends, but in my humble opinion, it's even more important to make time for yourself. And I honestly cannot wait to cross the threshold into my 40s, where I feel it's more socially acceptable to do just that.
Are you up to anything this weekend?
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth minigames.
Yeah.
All weekend?
All weekend.
That seems like a lot.
All weekend.
But even when you do plan out a triple S rank weekend of socks, sofa and Skyrim, the reality is that as you sail through the post-30 decades of your life, there's always some niggling chore that needs doing, some tedious job eating away at that most precious of commodities.
This I also agree with. I feel like as you get older, the older you get, the more you have to do until you hit retirement. Most people aren't going to hit retirement, to be quite fair, and a lot of people who do hit retirement come back out of retirement because of inflation, medical debt, insurance issues, and so on, right? A lot of people leave retirement and then come back to doing even more than they did before.
Time. And they're always so boring, to the point where even mentioning them in this video is annoying.
Oh, the laundry. Everybody's whites,
yeah,
everybody's
laundry.
lights. Mine are my wife's darks, my daughter's darks. I mean, for crying out loud, this is supposed to be a video about games.
How apt that instead of writing about them, I'm writing about cleaning limescale out the kettle and combing the garden for dog poo and doing the big weekly food shop.
If that really...
Well, to be fair, you don't have to get a dog if you don't want one. You sign up for that. It's not something that's forced upon you. A dog is given to you. Or sorry, that's not the... Some people do get dogs, right? Like, some people do get the dog. Like, they're like, oh, I have to take care of this now. Okay, well, I don't want to put them in the shop, I guess. For the most part, what he's talking about, I agree with. But the dog line, I do not agree with. There's a few other things that probably wouldn't count. Like things like having a kid. You chose to have a kid. You chose to have that burden. Like, you got to live up to it. That was your bad decision, right? Like, nobody told you you had to have a kid. And anybody who did was lying.
really kind man who said hello to me in the Chippenham branch of Lidl is watching this, then yes, the entire time I was speaking to you, I wished I was at home playing Skyrim.
I remember Friday features where I've had to apologise to fantasy RPG NPCs for not being able to find their saucepans, sheep or family heirlooms for cool reasons. Sorry, I've got to go and fight a dragon or climb a mountain or, save the world.
But now, poor helpless NPC, I promise, I am here to empty the dishwasher.
It's not all bad, life on the other side of the 30 hill. For one, you appreciate the spare time you do have a lot more. Those gaming sessions become increasingly special. That feeling you get when the stars align and the house is all yours for an entire weekend.
I could wrap myself in it.
But then it's here I encounter the next problem on this list, what I've come to call the choice curse. This is
curse?
when your poor brain, usually
chores
stuffed
paralysis,
with chores,
yeah.
responsibilities, worries, catch-ups, Zoom calls and picnic dates,
Honestly.
suddenly emerges into a realm of seemingly endless possibility. Like those bits in open world games where you crawl out the tutorial sewer pipe and stand blinking, overawed by the glorious expanse of nothingness between you and the sky. You see, the problem here...
Before he says what the problem is, I do actually suffer from choice paralysis in real life. It's a thing. Say you go to the grocery store and you go and look in the aisle that's like cheese. And you just need to get some cheese for like sandwiches. But there's like 280 styles of cheese there, and you don't know which cheese you want because you could eat any of them. You like all cheeses, so then you're like, well, which one's the best deal? But there's a bunch of them that are a decent deal, and you don't want to do the math on like 280 cheeses. So then you go through and you're like, well, which one catches my eye? Nothing catches your eye. You're just like, it's just cheese. And so then you go and you're like, do I want cheddar? Do I want extra sharp cheddar? Do I want just regular cheddar? Do I want to get a brick? Do I want to get the slices? Because I can slice the brick, but then the slices are already sliced and it's not that much more money, So you start thinking about all these things and you have this huge ass choice that you've created for yourself, and it would have been avoidable if there were only maybe two types of cheese in the store. And what I do to avoid it is I just do something. I just go, I'm grabbing this cheese. I don't even look at the price usually. I just go, this one's probably fine. And if it's absurdly expensive for whatever reason, I won't buy it. But just grab something that's reasonably priced that looks good to you and then be done with it. Just don't even think about it. Just grab it off the shelf. Don't even think. Right? That's the way I handle it.
Is when I get to those bits in open world games, the see that mountain, you can climb that mountain bits. What I mostly do is this. slowly pan the camera around, wondering what on earth to do with all this agonizing choice.
Is this
Likewise,
Elden
when
Ring
I've
that
got
we're looking
one
at?
of those rare open world weekends, I tend to spend more time thinking about playing than actually playing.
This is what my PS5 looks like on an open world weekend.
Oh yeah, so like, man, dude, when I look at the at like giant full screens, I don't know what it is. Like, all right, so when I look at my Steam library, most of the time I can just choose something from the top 5 things on the list and just play it, right? And just work my way down, whatever. And usually the thing at the top is the thing I want to play anyway because it's the newest stuff, right? So I don't really get affected by that. But if I put Steam into big screen mode, or if I play on my PS5 or my Switch, or if I'm trying to find something on Netflix maybe, I will look at the menu forever. I think it's because everything catches your eye and you can't make that split-second decision anymore, and it does become like a choice paralysis thing. I do sometimes wish we could go back to just having lists for everything. Like if my PS5 could just be a list of text, you know, I would be okay with it.
Saturday
happier.
morning, 9 a.m., and so begins a slow flick from left to right as I contemplate, consider, compare. I could play Returnal. Yes, I've always said so. Team Racing, it's such a brilliant game. I love Team Racing.
What's the time?
9:52 p.m. on Sunday. Oh no!
Oh no.
Our penultimate over 30s problem occurs when you've started a game, usually a whopping 100-hour plus RPG, got maybe 30 hours in, and then for some reason too boring to include in this video, you haven't played it for about 3 months.
But then,
Yeah.
behold, a clearing emerges.
I very
on
often
the
don't have
Google
time to
Calendar
100% a
horizon.
game.
One of those fabled
So, like, if I were to play a game, I usually would get through the base story of it and then call it quits. But every once in a while, a game is, like, so fun to keep playing. Like, Soulstone Survivors I was playing earlier, I just want to 100% it. It's just so much more fun than most games that I play that I make an exception for it, and I actually try to get as far as I can in it. I did the same thing for the original Fable. I did all the side quests in that, even though there weren't achievements at the time. I did all of the stuff. And I did them even more once we had achievements on the 360. I would try to get the achievements on there. I loved the Fable games. And then there was Morrowind. I did every side quest I could possibly find in that. I did everything in that game. It was so fun to find all the secrets. And then all the other Elder Scrolls games as well. But Morrowind especially, because back in the day I had so much more time for those. And so Morrowind I probably spent months on. But yeah.
open world
Months straight.
weekends approaches.
And so you sit down, excited to continue your adventure. You boot up the game and discover you're in some cave you can't remember entering, wearing
This
armor
guy
you
is
don't
funny.
recognize, brandishing a sword you've forgotten the controls for, at a save point before a boss that's almost certainly going to pummel you into noob dust.
That's
Right.
okay. Learning the idiosyncrasies of a sophisticated action RPG control system is just like riding a bike. It'll be fine.
That's why you never save before the boss unless you're just saving to fight the boss multiple times. You know, you always save after the boss.
I guess we're starting from the beginning again.
Final entry now, and perhaps
Oh,
the
man.
biggest problem I've
That game
encountered
was
as
so
a
much
gamer
fun.
over 30 is that
Helldivers,
almost all of my
Helldivers 2.
friends with whom I play games are also over 30, and
wish it
so
worked better.
are invariably experiencing one of the other 6 problems on this list at any given point. This makes getting the gang together for a session of Helldivers 2 far more troublesome than it used to be.
I remember when the first Destiny came out in 2014 and I'd log on to my PS4 and everyone would already be there, also
Yeah.
logged in, also playing Destiny.
No organisation
much.
necessary, it was a matter of when you'd bump into each other, not if. Night after night, nightfall after nightfall, raid after
Yeah.
raid. Populating a fire team with a consistent group of friends was a sure thing. 10 years later, and that desire to shoot alien bugs together is still strong as ever. It's just that you need to assign the gaming equivalent of a wedding planner to make sure everyone's where they need to be and
This
when.
is why I don't play with real life
And
friends
who's
anymore
the
for the
party
most part.
leader? David, lovely. And have you given any thought to what stratagems you might need on the day? Yes. Oh, lovely, yes. No, I do like that one as well. And can I just check you all have the appropriate headsets? Yeah. Nathan needs a new Bluetooth dongle. Okay. Yeah, we can definitely sort that. The cruel twist of irony is that trying to wrangle 4 30-somethings to be online together, playing the same game,
It's hard.
takes a
It's
level
hard.
of commitment, planning, and organisation.
Almost everyone I've met who's older than even like I'd say like 25, anybody over 25 is really hard to get them to stay online for a weekend. Almost nobody wants to do it. It's very rare that I meet somebody who actually wants to do it, let alone actually does it. And a lot of them are working on weekends when you're not, or vice versa. Whatever, or some of them are working nights while you're working days, or vice versa, whatever. Your schedules do not align anymore. It's a lot easier earlier on in life because everybody's schedule's the same. When you're in school, everybody goes to school at the same time for the most part, unless you're talking about people overseas, but you're not playing with them, you're playing with people in person, so it's still relevant. Even in your early days of being an adult, you're typically, all the people who you know are going to be around you all the time. They're going to be your roommates, your coworkers who you work with, so your schedules are the same, stuff like that. And you're all going to be interested in very similar things because you're at a similar point in life, right? A lot of you are all going to be into video games because you're raised on video games. Not everybody in my generation was, but you were raised on video games. You haven't really gotten to the point where you're having kids yet, It's a lot harder as you get older. I
that
agree.
eats into the very thing nobody seems to have enough of. Time. And
Yep.
there you have it. 7 problems only gamers over 30 will understand. Do you have any more examples you think we've missed? Stick them in the comments if so. Give the video a like if you've
Are
experienced
there any
any of
things that I
these
think
yourself.
you missed that I can probably throw in? Without reading the comments, what do you guys think? I'm thinking like maybe there's like one thing he didn't really cover, and does everybody even have the same system? Like, because back in the day, you could say, let's have ourselves an Xbox LAN party. Everybody had an Xbox. Nowadays, it's kind of expected for people to have different like rigs for things, and there's like crossplay issues. Some games are crossplay, some games aren't. So like you could make friends with somebody who plays on PlayStation while you're on Xbox, and then you're fine for a while, and then you guys want to play another game together, but whoops, it's not on the same system. You can't play the same game with each other, so then you have to find different friends to play with, and then you play with those friends, you no longer play with each other, and so when it comes time for another game that's cross-platform, you're still playing with those other friends. And so you two just like fall out of touch, and it's okay, but like it happens way less when you're younger for whatever reason. Like when I was younger, like we all had our PlayStations, we all had our Xboxes and stuff, and if anybody didn't have one of the consoles, they would just go to one of their friends' houses and play it there. It's just kind of how it went, right? Like I don't get that now. I don't think the kids really get that either. Like the kids nowadays actually have a tougher time because everybody's online all the time. Like they're playing Fortnite though, right? They're playing Fortnite of all things. 7 dilemmas only married gamers will understand. I'm afraid to watch that one. I am afraid of that one now. I am afraid of watching that one. Click. I'm setting a stream marker. I don't know if it'll work. That'll be the end of the whatever video I put on. Like, we're gonna put that on YouTube.